My name is Liam Harper, and I've been a musician for as long as I can remember. My world revolves around melodies and chords, and there's nothing I love more than composing music that speaks to the soul. But this story isn't about my music. It's about a song, a melody, so haunting and otherworldly that it changed everything. I thought I knew about myself. It started on a rainy evening. I had just moved into a new apartment in a quiet part of town, hoping the peace and solitude would inspire my next album. The apartment came with an attic, which the landlord warned me was full of old junk left behind by previous tenants. I hadn't paid it much attention until that evening when boredom got the better of me. The attic was exactly what I expected: dusty, cluttered, and filled with forgotten relics of other people's lives. Old furniture, boxes of books, and broken lamps were stacked haphazardly. As I rummaged through the mess, I came across a battered leather notebook. It was wedged between a stack of records and an antique metronome. The notebook was small, its cover cracked and worn with age. Curious, I opened it. Inside, the pages were filled with sheet music, written in a delicate, flowing hand. The notes were unfamiliar, the kind of arrangement that felt simultaneously chaotic and intentional. At the top of the first page was a title: "The Song That Never Ends." I chuckled at the name, thinking it was a quirky title for a composition. But as I scanned the notes, I felt a strange pull, as though the music was calling to me. I couldn't resist. That night, I sat at my piano, the notebook open before me. The rain tapped against the windows as I placed my fingers on the keys and began to play. The melody started softly, almost hesitant, but as I continued, it grew. It was beautiful, haunting, and mesmerizing, with an eerie undertone that sent shivers down my spine. As the final note hung in the air, I felt an odd sensation, like a jolt of static electricity. The room seemed to grow colder, and for a moment, I thought I saw something move in the corner of my eye. But when I turned, there was nothing there. I shook it off, chalking it up to my imagination, and went to bed. That's when the dreams began. In my dream, I was in a dimly lit room. It wasn't my apartment, but it felt familiar. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and burning candles. A grand piano stood in the center, and someone was playing it. I couldn't see their face, only their hands, as they moved effortlessly across the keys, playing the same melody from the notebook. The music filled the room, but it wasn't just sound. It was emotion, a mixture of sorrow, longing, and something darker. As the song reached its crescendo, the figure turned to me. But before I could see their face, I woke up. My heart was racing, and the melody was still echoing in my mind. I tried to shake off the dream, but it clung to me like a shadow. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. The melody consumed me. I played it over and over, each time feeling like I was unlocking a piece of a puzzle I didn't understand. And with each repetition, the dreams became more vivid. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. The melody consumed me. I played it over and over, each time feeling like I was unlocking a piece of a puzzle I didn't understand. And with each repetition, the dreams became more vivid. And always there was the figure at the piano, their face hidden, their presence both comforting and terrifying. As the days turned into weeks, strange things began happening. Objects in my apartment seemed to move on their own. I'd find the notebook in different places, even though I was certain I had left it on the piano. The air often felt heavy, and the shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch farther than they should. I started researching the notebook, hoping to find some clue about its origins. But there was nothing, no record of the melody, no mention of its composer. It was as though it had appeared out of nowhere. The only thing I could find was an old article about the apartment building, which mentioned a musician who had lived there decades ago and vanished without a trace. One evening, desperate for answers, I played the melody again. This time, something changed. As I reached the final note, the room seemed to shift. The air grew colder, and the shadows deepened until they seemed almost solid. And then I saw her. A woman stood by the piano, her figure faint and translucent, like a reflection in rippling water. She was beautiful, with piercing eyes that seemed to look straight through me. She didn't speak, but her presence was overwhelming. "Who are you?" I managed to whisper. She didn't answer. Instead, she moved to the piano and began to play. Her hands moved gracefully, but the melody she played wasn't the one from the notebook. It was different, softer, almost like a lullaby. And as she played, fragments of memories flashed before my eyes. A grand concert hall, a bouquet of roses, and the sound of thunderous applause. I realized with a sinking feeling that the memories weren't mine. They were hers. Over the next few nights, the woman appeared more frequently. She never spoke, but her music told a story. Through her playing, I learned of her life, her rise as a prodigious musician, her love for a man who shared her passion, and her tragic end. She had been betrayed, her final composition stolen and left incomplete. Her unfinished melody was the one I had found in the notebook. I began to understand. She wanted me to finish the song, to bring it to life as it was meant to be. But as I worked to complete the melody, I felt her presence growing stronger. The lines between her world and mine began to blur, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing myself. The night I finished the song, The air in the apartment was electric. As I played the final notes, the woman appeared once more. This time she smiled, her expression one of relief and gratitude. The room filled with light, and for a moment everything felt right. But then the light faded and the shadows returned. The woman's figure began to dissolve, and I realized too late what was happening. The melody had been her tether to this world, and by completing it, I had set her free. But in doing so, I had bound myself to it. Now the melody is mine to carry. It haunts me, a song that never ends, a reminder of the price of uncovering forgotten stories. And every time I play it, I feel her presence, watching, waiting, as if to ensure that her story is never forgotten.